What is the most cruel execution in the 1900s? During Hitler's reign in World War II, a widespread execution method was employed in numerous German prisons. But why was this method employed in Germany? And what were the changes that the German guillotine underwent? What were the other execution devices, and how did they differ from the guillotine? Who were the White Rose group, and how did they face their execution? How efficient and painless was the guillotine, and what was the experience like for the families of the victims? In this video, we will uncover the most appalling executions that took place in the Third Reich using the guillotine, including the story of the youngest person to be executed for resisting the Nazis, Herbert Hubinar. Stay tuned until the end to discover the most cruel execution in the 1900s. During Hitler's reign and World War II, a widespread execution method was employed in numerous German prisons. It claimed the lives of many individuals who resisted the Nazi regime, as prisons were filled with those who opposed the evil government. Challenging Hitler's ideology was perilous, and those who disagreed with it often met their end under a device that originated from the French Revolution. The guillotine was utilized to execute the French king and his wife, and it remains a symbol of eternal liberty and equality. Although the guillotine was used in Germany as an efficient way to execute criminals, it went against the ideas and policies of the Third Reich. Prior to the Second World War, the guillotine had been imported from France and had a different name, the foul bile. Throughout history, execution devices such as the Halifax gibbet were also used in England during medieval times. However, the gibbet had its flaws, including the need for trusted individuals to hold the condemned person in place before execution. Some people managed to escape execution when the blade of the guillotine was released, and they fled the town to avoid being caught. In Germany, execution by axe was also used, which was often unreliable and caused prolonged suffering. Hitler eventually banned this method. Despite the terror caused by the French Revolution and the thousands executed on the guillotine, many other countries adopted the device, including Germany. The German guillotine, called the foul bile or the drop axe, was different from the French version and underwent many changes to its wooden structure. Early execution devices, like the French ones, were sometimes made of wood, but over time most were constructed from metal, making them sturdier and smaller. From 1856 to 1933, the Hamburg Fallbeil was used for execution, featuring a unique blade and release mechanism distinct from the guillotine. The scaffold where the execution took place had a hole or trapdoor, allowing the body of the convicted to drop into a room or coffin below. Authorities maintained privacy for the disposal of the body by enclosing the area with a wooden shed-like structure. The foul bar, located within Hamburg prison, was not accessible to the public and remained hidden. However, when the Nazis gained power, the use of such devices escalated. Those who dared to voice their opposition to the regime were swiftly executed. Sophie Scholl and her brother, members of the White Rose movement, were among the most well-known resistors to the Nazi regime. The White Rose group challenged Nazi ideology through intellectual inquiry and disseminated leaflets in various German cities. Siblings Hans and Sophie were arrested by the Gestapo and convicted of treason. They faced execution by the notorious Johann Reichard, who had executed over 3,000 resistance fighters. Despite this, Reichard described Sophie as the bravest person he ever executed. Today, she is celebrated as a martyr in Germany. Recently, the instrument used to execute her, the foul ball, reportedly surfaced in a Bavarian museum after being missing for centuries. Greta Bayer was executed by beheading in 1908 using the foul ball. She had been found guilty of poisoning and shooting her fiancé, whom she was forced to marry but did not love. The executioner, Moritz Brand, was considered a master of his craft and dressed in his finest black suit and top hat. The foul ball was a specific type of beheading machine with tall posts and no designated space for the body. The executioner used a wooden head basket to catch the head, and some structures had sand-filled baskets or pipes connected to drainage systems to dispose of the blood. During the Nazi era, compact metal guillotines were used for executions and could be transported to different locations. To improve efficiency, executioners experimented with various methods such as using a metal frame to guide the blade and increase its velocity. The blade was heavy and easily sliced through the victim when they were locked into place, sometimes secured to a board with belts and a footrest. The board would then be swiftly slid into place beneath the blade, and the lever pulled to release it. This process allowed for the quick preparation and execution of prisoners. The Nazis kept detailed records of executions, some of which took only 7 seconds from entry into the chamber to death. A bell signaled the start of the execution, and curtains granted privacy. Executioners were paid 3,000 Reich marks annually, plus a 65 mark bonus per execution. The Nazis charged the families of the executed 300 Reich marks per killing, even demanding reimbursement for the cost of posting invoices. This practice allowed executioners to earn enough for a villa in a wealthy Munich suburb. Within approximately 8.5 years following Hitler's rise to power, around 16,500 individuals were executed using the guillotine, known as the foul bile. Despite the belief that the method was painless and efficient, it was a distressing experience for the families of the victims. A Nazi physician even asserted that a trip to the dentist was more agonizing than the guillotine. One of the most appalling executions that took place in the Third Reich using the guillotine was that of Herbert Hubinar, a 17-year-old boy who became the youngest person to be executed for resisting the Nazis. He wrote pamphlets that questioned the regime, one of which stated that the country without freedom, the country of terror and tyranny, was Hitler's Germany. The pamphlets urged German youths to speak up against the Nazis and not become spineless puppets. Despite being underage, he was arrested by the Gestapo, tried as an adult, and executed by the foul bile inside the execution room at Plötzensee prison in Berlin on October 27, 1942, just hours after his death sentence was confirmed. His last words to the judges were defiant, declaring his innocence and warning them that their own reckoning would come. Shockingly, the guillotine was even used following the war in post-Hitler Germany, and Allied war crimes tribunals allowed German courts to use the device if they sentenced someone to death. The guillotine was mostly used in Gestapo prisons during the German occupation of lands, including Pankrak prison, where it executed 100 members of the Czech resistance. During the French Revolution, the guillotine was a symbol of freedom from the oppressive monarchy. However, its use during the Third Reich represented something entirely different. The guillotine became a tool of persecution, used to silence those who defied Hitler and his regime. Many of the individuals who fell victim to the guillotine were later considered heroes, unjustly punished for their actions. Despite its gruesome reputation, the guillotine was an efficient method of execution, capable of ending a life within seconds. In many cases, it took less than 10 seconds for an individual to meet their demise in the execution chamber. Hitler saw this as a way to quickly dispose of those who threatened his power and influence. As we conclude this video, we can't help but reflect on the harrowing history of the guillotine and its use during the Third Reich. The use of such cruel execution methods to silence those who dared to question authority reminds us of the importance of free speech and the value of human life. While it's crucial to remember the past, we must also look toward the future and ensure that such atrocities never happen again. It's up to us to learn from history and work towards creating a world where freedom of expression is a fundamental right for all. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has shed some light on this fascinating and tragic story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And as always, stay curious and keep learning.